I decided I was gonna do a build video today of what I'm calling my Red Rooster. I'm gonna be building a brand new Armattan Rooster frame with you guys. We're gonna be putting the latest RevoltOSD with the latest Bolt BL32, Raceflight 4-in-1 ESC, 50 amps per. One quick note on the RevoltOSD that it was supposed to come with plugs, so you could just, here's another one of them, so you could just easily plug in all your peripherals, but they haven't released those yet, so we are going to be doing the soldering version. Hopefully I can get the plugs in sometime soon, and I can do a build video on that. Hoping on my skidz when it comes in, because I got a Raceflight Bolt32 4-in-1 ESC. Pretty sure that's supposed to be Bolt, but, you know, whatever. As long as the hardware works, I don't care about what it says. And so we're going to be adding a TBS Unify V3. It's not the high voltage version, it's only 5 volts for the VTX, but with the Revolt it has 5 volts, so no problem there. Tried and true TBS antenna. This is a new one for me. I haven't tried the Foxeer Predator Mini, but all of the reviews and stuff I've seen on it have been really nice looking. I usually use the Eagle 2, which is great low light, great daylight, like just, I've flown nighttime a few times with it, looked great, and the Predator Mini looked better on the reviews, so really stoked if that does actually perform like that. We got my favorite motors for power, performance, and endurance. I'll straight say right now, they're not the smoothest motors in the world, but man, they just blaze. Very much a lipo killer, but I still love them. And it all matches with all the nice red, hence the Red Rooster. We'll be putting some quad skids on the bottom of it. I've already built a Rooster before. This one has been very tried, true, tested. I have beat this guy really badly. Like, it is just, it's a beast. Like, I was very apprehensive about how the Rooster would perform, but so far it has been far better than my chameleons, which I still love my chameleons, don't get me wrong, but this one is just, yeah, finally broke something on it just the other day, an arm, and it really wasn't broken. I just fractured some of the little bit of the carbon fiber and sheared the bolts. Like, it sheared the bolts and everything else freaking stood up just fine. So that's pretty awesome testament, especially with all the crashing and flying I've done with this guy so far. So let's go ahead and get started. We will start with building the Raceflight, the Armattan Rooster frame here. Like I said, this thing has just been really great for me. I do have a few complaints on the build of it, though, honestly. I mean, I hate to really complain too much on something that holds up better than most frames. Like, yeah, here's one of the screws from that one. One sheared, and this one warped like a mofo. And the funny part about that is that we have screws with this, but when you buy it, it comes with this. Happy building. These are better bolts. Use these instead. Well, I've stripped these ones and I've sheared them, so I'm scared to death to see what the freaking stock ones are. So, yeah, we're definitely not going to use the ones that come with it if they're for some reason worse. And the nice thing about Armattan is that they always give you extra hardware usually. Like, I usually end up with quite a bit more extra than what I need here. Oh yeah, the complaints. Another complaint on it is the press nuts. The press nuts are a little bit of a jerk kind of deal, because like if you can see, I've already kind of been starting to strip and replace these ones. These were the sheared ones. I replaced them with real titanium screws, but because of the press nuts, they get a little bit loose on you. So hopefully in this one I can put the press nuts in my little mini vise over here and we can get them in stronger. We will go ahead and loosen, tighten, and try to get those press nuts in there as tight as we can. And we're not going to add Loctite yet, but I will add Loctite after a few flights, so that we make sure that we get those press nuts in there good. Because if you go ahead and Loctite it right off, the press nuts loosen, well, guess what? It's Loctited in there loose. So that's not exactly something you want to do. And hopefully we'll get it pressed in there better with the vise. I don't know if you noticed, I put the I-beam things away. These are actually pretty nice. I've used these on the Chameleon several times. As far as foamy squishies go, I do like these. But since we will be using the Rotor Riot quad skids, because man, I love to skid, it's really fun to me for some reason. And so yeah, here's the hardware. Like I said, most of this we will not be using. There's the press nuts, we'll be using those. We'll be using the camera mount screws. Yeah, I think that's it for that one that we'll be using. So normally I'll take a nice freed up type of tray like this and put all my new build stuff in it. Usually have one per frame, so I can just throw the hardware in there, and you know, that's where all my spare hardware is. But like I said, not much we're going to be using on this one, so we will go ahead and just wing it. Like this is, I was a little bit apprehensive on the titanium, because I thought that if it wasn't right, if it shatters, man, it's going to be a problem. But it's held up a lot better than the aluminum does on the Chameleon. I've bent up quite a few of the front ones on the Chameleons. The bottom plates, always breaking them. Oh yeah, damn. I didn't even know this one was broken until now. Isn't that awesome? Damn, how did I break it? Well, anyway, that's a good example. Like, you just fracture them arms. They got a new titanium version. They're supposed to be using the better carbon fiber that they have on the Rooster. I'm hoping maybe when I warranty that they will go ahead and maybe give me the new Chameleon one. I mean the new titanium one, so that I can go ahead and maybe quit breaking them as often. So, yeah, so like I said, this is some really nice carbon fiber with these guys. Like, really nice compared to most others that I've flown. I don't really like the pads. My favorite is to use the alien ones that come from Rotor Riot. Those are just the best lipo pads in the world. Like, you can see it from there, but they're just nice and sticky. You don't freaking shatter the heat shrink on your batteries all the time. Your batteries stay nice and firm on there. The only one better that I know of is the Ummagawd Remix one. That one is insane. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, and how insane that freaking battery pad is, lipo pad, you gotta check that out. But, okay, on to the build though. So we're gonna go ahead and assemble the frame first, and then start with all the other stuff. So I guess I was bragging a little bit too early on the spare parts from Armattan, as this piece here and the little grommets that come with it were not included in mine, and I ordered this one directly from them. I actually stopped the video, looked around everywhere, made sure I didn't drop them, looked on the video, they just were not in there. So in order for me to finish this video and try this build, because I'm dying to try out the new Raceflight stuff, I'm gonna pillage the one off of my other rooster, so like I said, I can go ahead and finish this. It's not going to be the brand new antenna, it's going to be this one. It's a really hard thing to try and get the antenna like this in with the grommet, because how big this is. So I kind of don't recommend it, but if you can do this, this is the best way to go. Of course, TBS antennas stand up to everything you can throw at them. So if you put the support on it, you have way less chance of tearing up your connectors. So that it's inside there connected all nice and protected. Because I don't know about you, but when I was learning to fly and crashing a ton, I would break a lot of connectors. I still have my original TBS antenna that I bought, missing the posts and everything. Still actually works pretty darn good. Broke quite a few connectors and UFL VTX antenna connectors, SMA connectors, but like I said, they hold up really good. So in order to build this frame, let's go ahead and continue without them parts. I'll contact Armattan in a bit here after I get done with all this and see about hopefully them sending me some new stuff. So first off, we got to do the prop. First off, we got to do the press nuts, and like I was saying earlier, I'm gonna try to do it with a press, but what I've done before was a pair of pliers, big pair of pliers that is, so that I can get as much push on them as possible without them loosening up on me. But of course they still loosened up a bunch on me, so that's why I recommend trying to get them in there as tight as possible, tightening the screw down, but don't strip your screw. Back it off, tighten again, back it off, tighten again, go fly. Come back one by one, put Loctite on them, and then tighten them down pretty tough, and then hopefully they won't come loose too much if you're not crashing too badly. Now see how that worked? I pushed it in there pretty nicely. And so like I said, that's probably one of the best ways to do it right here. I'm going to try the press because that might be a little bit easier and get it a little bit tighter. Like it's not, I mean not press, but vise. Like I said, this ain't really much for vise, so this might not work out very good. Who knows? Might even edit it out. No. We'll go and keep my failure in here. I'll go ahead and use that old arm to back it up and protect my new carbon fiber here. And I think I might actually have to use the pliers to press it and hold it a little bit first. Now, like I said, not the easiest thing to do with these guys. If you try to just screw them in, it just does not work very well. Like, they do not line up very well. You end up stripping them some, and then you just really don't get them pressed in very well. So that's why I say I find the pliers to at least be the best right now. So then you can at least get them in there really tightly without having to try and sacrifice on your screws. And I don't think that's going to work well. Nah, it went in awkward. Awkward moment all around. Thought I could be fancy and cool, but no, that's not gonna work. Yeah, so better off with pliers. Trial and error. I love to try different stuff and different methods, so you never know what works best. I try to listen to the experts as much as I can, but they don't always do the same builds I do, not always running the same type of equipment, so sometimes it is fun to try your own stuff. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you fail, and that's part of the fun of this hobby, I think. Well, there we go. That's how we're gonna do it. Big ass pair of pliers. There we go, all done with the press nuts. Quick message to Armattan if for some reason you watch this. For those with us with arthritis, save us the pain. Put the press nuts in for us. That would be awesome. Get them in there nice and tight. Let's go ahead to attach the motors with the quad skids. You kind of have any choice of what way you want with the quad skids. I usually face them like this. I don't know why, but that's the way I go. And so we're just going to leave the whole amount of wire on these guys. Gotta make sure I'm using 8mm long bolts on this one so that they don't catch into the stator and they're long enough to get through everything, but I would prefer a little bit longer, but 10 sticks out and it's just a little bit on the scary side sticking out. So I figure I'd spare you my shaky soldering job here. What I did was the classic side style. What you always wanted to do though, if you want a little bit of bend to it, apparently I didn't get enough, is you gotta have your outside one here longer than this one and it'll just kind of naturally bend to where you want it with the battery. Not sure if I pointed out, I can't stand the plastic stacks, so I always use long metal screws. You gotta kind of specialty order those. But for the all-in-one ESC here, what's nice about Raceflight is you just need them hooked up and the configurator will do the rest. I like to have extra wire myself, and just a nice kind of easy way to be able to solder it up is like this, and then you just twist it around. I've done this with the flight controllers as well because it does not matter with them. They had a big fat capacitor, not quite the kind I use, but it is a 2200 farad 25 volt one. This is what came with the foreign one, so I'm gonna go with what they do and use it. Now I have soldered it up to the side like this before. I'm not the biggest fan of that. It works, but always remember you need some of them silicone wires on there, because if you try to do just the posts or whatnot, it'll just vibrate and break loose on you after a while. Sometimes not that long at all. So I usually like to do some wires and lead it somewhere I can put it nice and safe. Fasten it down, probably hot glue it. Don't forget to hot glue those ones. I like the high temperature hot glue. Holds really good and tough. Like, I usually do my LEDs on the bottoms of quadcopters and stuff with just hot glue. Like, these things are shattering into pieces. The LEDs are almost gone, but it's held up awesomely. So yeah, you just put them around like that, twist it around in there, tuck your wires in nicely, and then just go ahead. Once again, tuck your wires in nicely. Like that, it helps if I tuck them in nicely. So that's another thing too, is you can use that hot glue and go ahead and glue down wires too, wherever you want. So make sure everything's tucked in good so I don't break nothing off, because this is kind of tight putting the all-in-one. I contemplate a few things with this all-in-one, was to possibly either put it at the top of the stack, and then also with the power wire was really tempted to do Tom Smith style, which is have your XT60 come up out of here and in between the decks. And I think I will actually do that with my next build. I just wanted to make sure to get this one done and fly it and test it and give it its go-arounds, because this is probably going to be my main quad to fly. I usually like to try a lot of stuff, and that's why I like the modular ones, so that I can, you know, kind of get back into here easily and replace stuff as needed. This isn't the best to replace motors, but what you do is you just freaking clip the wire. If you have a burnt out motor, you just clip the wires, desolder the one and pull them out, and you can just, in the field, freaking go ahead and solder. Just run the wires, janky, tape them up for the time being. It'll work in the field, just a patch, and then come back and do it nicely. So next we are going to work on the flight controller. Sorry, my hands are shaking. I thought I'd spare you guys all the horrible soldering and stuff and criticism or whatnot. So here's what I got on the couple things to note on the flight controller here. Is up here, this unlabeled area, this is where you have to bridge or not bridge depending on if you're running BL Heli 32, BL Heli S with current voltage or without. So this right here is for BL Heli 32. Over here we have another jumper that we need inverted for S-Bus. I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure it's still needed. So I'm not sure what the TX4 one is. I assume Futaba, I think it is. So pin layout, I mean, pretty easy on the receiver. Normal as can be. S-Bus, not S-Bus, but yeah, S-Bus, smart port, 5 volts, ground. Then over here we have the video stuff, because I have a TBS 5 volt that I was putting in this one. So we actually swapped around the power and grounds on the camera and the VTX, because the camera is 5 volt filtered and the VTX is V battery. I'm hoping that doesn't mess up my video too badly, but we will see. Cool new feature on this one, this green one right here, is your controller for your camera. So we go ahead and hook that up, see how that works. I went ahead and hooked up the smart audio on this one, even though I usually don't actually use it. Same with the smart port. I will eventually get into that, but not right now. So here we go. I've got most all the hardware and stuff done. It's pretty sloppy build, but I'm just trying to kind of get this thing together quickly to go test it and see if this might be my new all-time flyer quad. So yeah, a lot of stuff went wrong with the video, build-wise and all that, but gotta go ahead and do the software next, put some lipo pads on it, and bind it, and should be ready to fly. So let's go ahead and get to the software next. So here we are at the software part of it. We're gonna go ahead and flash it and configure it and all that, update all the 4-in-1 ESC and stuff. So first I'd recommend no props, and if you can, probably just go ahead and use a storage battery so you don't have that much potential energy either. So let's go ahead and plug it into the Raceflight, because Raceflight won't do nothing without a controller. And looks like we're setting up a new one. Yes, we are. Now see, I did hook up the Tyrannus all correctly, since I don't have none of that going, and I just want to get up and fly today. I'm just going to pick other receiver. Yep, we're already connected to our receiver. I did do the unify. I hooked up smart audio, but once again, I don't have all that set up correctly, so we're going to pick other, because I just want to fly. So, do I want to run reverse props? No. Some people do. Keeps more stuff out of the camera. I'm just used to running them the other way, so let's move on. Now, let's go through step 1 through 6, and Kitty's gonna photobomb us. Back up, Mr. Pebbles. I'm trying to shoot video. Okay? You'll make it in there. You'll make the cut. So, launch wizard on the first one. We are gonna go with freestyle. There's freestyle and racing. I'm not really sure myself what the differences is, but since I do freestyle, let's go with freestyle. Then next, you want to help us smooth stick movements? Sure, why not? I'm a shaky guy. Getting smoother though. Select my quad size. This is going to be a 5. And quad is already flat. We're doing orientation here, so it knows what way I set up my flight controller. So it's flat. I don't know if you can see it. Let's make sure you can see the quad. And then let's put it on its nose. Try to hold it as steady as possible. And now it knows what crazy way I set up my flight controller. Now let's go ahead and do the bound part. I'm not 10 feet away, but I've done it this close before. It usually is okay. Alright, succeeded. Let's set up the radio now. Go ahead and move the sticks in a couple circles here. Just says a few times, but set throttle all the way to the top. Go back to neutral, or no, all the way down to idle. Yaw. Pitch up. Oops. Roll right. Hope that didn't mess anything up. Now we're doing the arming switch. My switch is already disarmed, so we go next. And we click, hit down for what we want armed. And the setup is complete. That easy for the radio. Now, moving on to the ESCs. I've removed the props, and now I'm going to connect the battery. Wait for the sounds. Definitely get the USB cords away from the motors. Okay, I agree. No ESC is detected. That's not cool. Yeah, battery's connected. We didn't get no ESC nothing though, did we? Okay, so they were already pre-flashed with BL32, so I guess I don't need to update the ESC. I just gotta do the rest of the calibrations and everything. So I guess they're working on being able to do pass-through. We'll see at some point. Damn. Yup. That would be the front right one is now spinning. This is just so it knows which way I hooked up my motors. Oh, okay, so yeah. And you can run KISS. I did not know that. Oh, that's great. Okay, so I didn't know this, but apparently I am going to have to swap motor wires around. And if I knew that, I wouldn't have quite got all this done already. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that now, I guess. So now that we got the wires crossed all the correct ways, the motors are all spinning the right way, we got to go ahead and set up our controller the rest of the way. And they make it real easy on this. I don't use a whole lot, but let's see, I like to have motor beep. So you just take your controller and you switch it to what position, oh no, wait, off position. And then next, and then now we stick it in the on position. Saving variables very slowly, I guess. There we go. That simple. And then of course, need Koopa for just in case. And on position. Save variables. Done. Pretty darned easy. And since I'm just using the motor beeps, I don't have a buzzer on here. That's pretty much it. The last thing, oh yeah, PID tuning. Of course you need to adjust it to whatever you like. Most of the time the stocks are just fine. ESC smoothing on. It's what Schizo does, so I'm not really even sure what that exactly does. So like I say, I just turn it on with this. Quick change rates. I like to have mine on Schizo's rates as well. It's what I've gotten used to since Raceflight. Nice and easy to do. And pretty much everything is good the way it's at. Like, even for me, old Expo and everything is perfectly set up. You might have to change a little bit of stuff. A little bit of your rates and stuff if you... the PIDs and stuff if you have some really crazy rates, but for the most part it keeps it pretty smooth on good smooth motors and good smooth setup. And yeah, the last thing that I normally do is I set my ESCs to fancy ringtone. It usually the Star Wars Imperial song or Super Mario, which is really cool, but since this is BL32 and I have no access to them, it is obviously not going to let me do that. But we are all ready for hover test, so see you there. Okay, let's go ahead and give a hover test and see if we can't kill ourselves or something else maybe. Nice and quiet. Looks pretty good. Well, was looking good. Oh. That went backwards, kind of funny. Yeah, man. Pretty good looking. Yeah, I think that'll fly. Get some DVR footage here in just a little bit, and yay.
No DVR.
Huh?
No DVR.
well, I got a few flights in before tinkering with the OSD in the grass, and it fucking caught on fire. Like, charred off the plug and everything, so yeah. I don't know what to make of it. So my final conclusion here is I'm still not exactly sure what happened with this board. I was messing with the OSD in the grass and heard something, pulled my goggles up real quick, saw it was on fire, and unplugged the battery as quick as I could, but everything was already too late. Got 3 batteries out of it, so I'm almost thinking it was the grass, hardware issue. Live in Washington State, so it was nice and sunny, but it still could have been some wet grass, some water got up in there. I'm not really sure. It felt really good for just a plain, almost 100% stock, just build it real quick and go fly. Like, I hope this video gave some good information and helped other people. I don't think I put it together as well as I could have. Got in kind of a rush because I really did want to just get out there and fly this guy and check it out, but yeah, it did not go too well. I mean, as far as those 3 batteries went, really well, but in the end, I do not get to fly it no more, so maybe I'll be able to do the replacement program that Raceflight has and replace this guy for $40 soon and get it back up in the air. So, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. Like, dislike, comment, and subscribe. Just as always, thanks for watching.